Super microcomputer is up about 11% in the last week. It's up 22% in the last month and up 6% in the last 3 months. Very strong day yesterday for SMCI. It has broken above that $50 key level, suggesting if it can close above that level for the week, there's a potential trade opportunity up to that target of $66. So in this video, I'll talk about a price analysis for Supermicro and look at this trade opportunity. Let's take a look. Now, if you find value in my analysis of SMCI stock today or other stocks on my channel, you may also find value in my email newsletter. If you subscribe, I'll share with you professional trading tips to help you make more profits trading stocks. Link down below, check it out. So, starting on the monthly chart for Supermicro, we can see this stock is trending up. Since this significant trough in November 2024, we can see SMCI has been moving up, creating higher highs and higher lows in terms of the long-term trend. So we've almost got 1 year of data here for this confirmed uptrend. Back in March 2024, it did create the all-time high of $125. And since that time, it did fall away. SMCI was sold off back into this trough here, but since then it has been moving up. On the weekly chart for SMCI, we can see this uptrend in a bit more detail. Since the trough down here of around about $17, it has been moving up in stages, creating different price peaks as it's moved up. So you can see from the low here, it has moved up in about 4 weeks. It created that peak here around about $48 before having a pullback. There was some selling pressure into the low here of $25 before in February this year, there was 3 bullish bars pushing the price up to create this significant peak of $66 before SMCI was sold off once again. But as you can see, it created a higher base after that pullback. It pulled back and based around $28 before it moved up steadily over a number of weeks during May and June to create this new peak here of around about $62. Since the peak of $62 back in the last week of July, SMCI was sold off after the negative earnings report, eventually finding support around about $40. And as you can see, that $40 base does correspond with this trend line, which I've drawn here with the yellow-orange line. So you can see here, as SMCI has moved up over the last 12 months, it is creating these higher bases as it's moving up. So this last base here, around about $40, is bang on the trend line. And it does look as if now SMCI is trying to push back up and have another go at this $66 key level. Coming down a bit closer, looking at SMCI on the daily chart, we can see yesterday was very, very bullish and price did break above this key level of $50. A lot of buyers coming in yesterday and the price did close well above $50, around about 52. So this is a very bullish signal. And if price can close above $50 for this week, that would be a very bullish indicator that SMCI is going to keep pushing up. Back on the weekly chart, we can see this bar forming with 3 days of trading so far, with Thursday and Friday to go. So the next 2 days are positive. Buyers keep buying up this stock. We might see a close above this key level of $50. If that happens, it's more than likely going to continue rising next week. And if you're trading on weekly rules, you might consider an entry next week on market open, and then look at trading this stock from this level around here up to this target of $66. It is clear from the trend line that when SMCI does pull back and find support around about this area here, it does push up and have a good run. For example, from this trough down here, the run up to the first peak was 177%. Looking at the next one, when it pulled back and found support at $25, that next 3-week run up to 66 was 160%. Next one, from this low here up to the previous peak of 62, that was 127%. So you can see it does run hard when it gets going. Now so far, if you look at SMCI, from that peak here, it's pulled back and found support at the trend line around about $40. So far, since that low, we're currently only 33% up from that last trough. So conservatively, if we get half of those previous 3 runs, let's say 50%, that's going to take us up to around 60. Up to 66 resistance, that would be around 70%. So still only around, half of the previous 3 runs. If it gets to 100, then we're looking at potentially, if I just zoom out a bit so I can get that in, if I move that to 100, that would be around $80. So I think $80 is a real possibility, considering how hard these last 3 runs have been. 127, 160, 177. So 100 would be quite conservative. If it does 177, where would that take it? 150. We're looking at that target of $100. So if SMCI does have a bullish run in the next, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, there's a real possibility that it's going to create a new price peak. Effectively, if it makes a new peak based on the historical price action, we're more than likely going to see a breakout above 66. So if I just use my trend arrow tool here, you can see the higher base is forming. The next peak, in theory, is going to be above this one here, and obviously this one here. It's going to be in this zone here. This is the key level, 66. So in theory, $80 will be conforming to the longer term trend. And then potentially it might hit 100 before having a pullback, something like this. It might come back in and test 66 perhaps before pushing off once again and breaking 100. So this is a real possibility for SMCI if the current trend continues. It's looking good right now. It does look as if it's respecting this 12-month almost trend line. So have a look at this stock for a possible entry in the next few weeks. And if you were to enter next week, for example, if we get that confirmation of a close above the $50 level, let's say you enter next week at 52, then there's about 28% to that first level of resistance at 66. And you can use the trend line as your stop loss. So around about minus 16 from 52, your stop will be around 43. So you could consider that as a stop loss. So 29 to 66, that's a decent return, risk to reward of 1.7. Of course, it might just blast straight through that level and you can stay with it. And if price trades up, let's say around about to 80, that's 57%, and onwards then long term to challenge that key level of 100, that would be a 90% upside. So there's definitely a short-term trade available here to 66, and perhaps if price is looking bullish, you could stay with it for the medium term and trade that up to $100. So SMCI stock is looking good right now. It is conforming to the longer trend. It's pulled back recently. It's found support here at $40, and it does look as if now it's moving up. It's broken 50 yesterday. If it closes for the week above 50, that's a strong indicator that this trend is going to keep going, and it's going to move up and challenge 66, offering a great trade opportunity. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you going to trade SMCI? Are you holding it long term right now? Perhaps you've held it after the earnings and now you're seeing it rebounding back up to these levels here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.